What if becoming a millionaire doesn't start with money, but with a feeling? Neville Goddard taught that wealth begins inside you, before it ever shows up in your bank account. In this video, you'll learn exactly how to feel like a millionaire now, using Neville's most powerful and practical teachings. This isn't theory, it's a method that works from the inside out. If you've been watching manifestation videos and still feel stuck, this one might be the turning point. Simple, clear, and deeply effective. This is the video to watch.
Welcome to Ignis Mindset. If you're ready to transform your inner world and finally live the wealth you've imagined, make sure to like this video and subscribe. You're in the right place.
Before we talk about outer riches, we must go inward, because that is where all true creation begins. Not in the world of matter, but in the realm of feeling. Many people ask how they can become wealthy, how they can change their financial situation. And I always return to one timeless truth. Feeling is the secret. This isn't just a poetic phrase. It is a key, a map, a direct instruction to the subconscious mind. The feeling of being wealthy carries the blueprint of the life you seek. When you can feel yourself into that state, you are already creating it. Long before money changes hands, or numbers shift in a bank account, the inner reality must move first. The subconscious accepts feelings as facts, and it builds the world to match them. The world does not respond to what we say we want. It responds to who we are internally. You may tell yourself you desire wealth, abundance, and financial freedom. But if deep down you continue to feel like someone struggling, someone lacking, someone hoping for change, then that inner vibration is what your world reflects. To shift what appears in the mirror, you must first shift what stands before it. That is the great secret of manifestation. It is not about forcing change in the world. It is about assuming the change within yourself and allowing the world to reflect it back to you in time. This is where the law of assumption enters. I've said it before and I say it again. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This law does not ask you to work harder or struggle more. It simply asks you to live in the end, to mentally and emotionally dwell in the state of already being who you desire to be. If you want to be rich, you must feel rich now. Not someday, not when the job arrives or the opportunity knocks. Now, in this moment, that is your task. You assume the identity before the world shows you confirmation. You become the millionaire in consciousness before the money arrives. That is how it works, not the other way around. You may wonder how to do this in a world that constantly reminds you of what you lack. But I tell you, your senses lie. They show you only the echo of old thoughts, old feelings. The present reality is simply the harvest of seeds you planted long ago. To grow something new, you must plant differently. You must live as if the new version of you already exists. That means walking into a store not as someone calculating every cost, but as someone who knows wealth is their nature. That doesn't mean being reckless or irresponsible. It means choosing your internal state deliberately. It means holding yourself with calm, quiet confidence. It means knowing that everything you need is already unfolding, even if the world is not caught up yet. Feel the difference in posture. Feel the shift in your inner dialogue. A person of wealth walks with ease, with freedom. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, do I want this? They trust their choices. They feel supported, not because of a number in a bank, but because their inner state is aligned with abundance. And that state creates the number in the bank, the opportunities, the connections, the breakthroughs. When you consistently return to the state of wealth, you train the subconscious to believe it. And the subconscious always finds a way to make what it believes into form. This is not magic. It is law. The law is always working, whether we're aware of it or not. So rather than letting the world dictate how you feel, you begin to reverse the flow. You choose the feeling first and let the world conform. Let's take a small example. Imagine waking up and, for a few quiet moments before the noise of the world enters, you tell yourself, I am wealthy, I am supported, I live in overflow, and you feel it. Not just say it, you feel it in your chest, in your breath, in the calm smile that forms when you believe it to be true. You sit with that, you move through your day with that, and little by little, something shifts. Not only do you think differently, you begin to act differently. You walk taller, you speak more clearly, you become generous in spirit, you trust the timing of your life. That trust is a sign. That relaxation is proof that your subconscious has begun to accept a new identity. And from that place, life becomes easier, not because challenges vanish, but because you now interpret them from a different level. From the state of wealth, obstacles are just passing shadows. From the state of lack, they are walls. So I urge you to experiment. Don't wait for the money to feel abundant. Don't wait for the miracle to feel blessed. Feel it first. Live from the end. Take a moment in the quiet of the night as you drift into sleep and imagine what it feels like to already have what you desire, not to want it, but to possess it. Feel the security, the satisfaction, the joy. Make it real in the mind and it will become real in the world. Do not underestimate the power of this practice. It seems simple. It is. But it is also profound. This is the creative act, the conscious creation of reality through feeling. And it is available to you at any time. You don't need permission. You don't need evidence. You need only the willingness to dwell in the new state, to assume it, to feel it. You are not separate from your desires. You are one with them, and the bridge between who you are and what you seek is built with feeling. That is the secret. And once you know it, once you apply it, the world begins to respond, not with resistance, but with recognition. Because now you are aligned. Now you are living from the inside out. Many individuals find themselves perpetually waiting, waiting for the right opportunity, the perfect moment, or a sign that prosperity is imminent. This state of anticipation often stems from a belief that external circumstances must change before one can feel wealthy. However, this mindset can become a trap, keeping individuals in a constant state of lack. Neville Goddard emphasized that our external reality mirrors our internal state. He stated, "It is not what you want that you attract what you believe to be true." This means that merely desiring wealth is insufficient. One must embody the feeling of being wealthy. When individuals fix on the absence of wealth, they reinforce a state of lack, which perpetuates their current circumstances. To shift from this cycle, Goddard introduced the concept of living from the end. This involves assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, acting as if the desired state is already a reality. By doing so, individuals align their internal state with their desires, allowing the external world to reflect this new reality. One effective method Goddard recommended for achieving this alignment is the state akin to sleep. SATS. SATS involves entering a relaxed, drowsy state, typically just before falling asleep, and vividly imagining a scene that implies the fulfillment of one's desire. This practice leverages the subconscious mind's receptivity during this transitional phase between wakefulness and sleep. For instance, if one desires financial abundance, they might imagine receiving a paycheck with a significant amount, feeling the texture of the check, and experiencing the emotions associated with financial security. The key is to make the scene as vivid and emotionally resonant as possible, allowing the subconscious mind to accept it as reality. Consistency in this practice is crucial. Repeating the imagined scene nightly reinforces the new belief system, gradually shifting one's internal state from lack to abundance. Over time, this internal transformation influences external circumstances, leading to tangible manifestations of wealth. It's important to note that the effectiveness of sets lies not in the technique itself, but in the genuine feeling of the desired state. Goddard emphasized that the subconscious mind responds to feelings, not words. Therefore, cultivating a deep emotional connection to the imagined scenario is essential for successful manifestation. By moving from a state of waiting to one of being, individuals can break free from the cycle of lack. Embracing the feeling of already being wealthy, regardless of current circumstances, sets the stage for the external world to align with this new internal reality. Through practices like SATs, one can harness the power of the subconscious mind to create a life of abundance and fulfillment. The world outside is only ever echoing what's happening inside. If your inner world is full of anxiety, doubt, and limitation, that's exactly what the outer world will give back to you. That's why when you begin to build the emotional blueprint of a millionaire, you're not just daydreaming, you're constructing the very foundation that the world will soon mirror. So let's ask something simple but powerful. What does a wealthy person feel like? Not what they drive, not what they wear, but how do they feel in the quiet spaces of their own mind? There is a certain confidence in wealth, not arrogance, but a steady calm. It's the assurance that everything is working in your favor, even when it doesn't seem like it. A wealthy person wakes up with a sense of purpose, not panic. They don't check their bank account in fear. They don't wonder if things will work out. They trust deeply, unshakably. Wealth feels like ease, like a warm current moving under your feet, carrying you forward without resistance. There's no chasing, no begging, no trying hard. There is movement, yes, but it comes from inspiration, not desperation. And most of all, it feels like trust. Trust in the self, trust in the unseen, trust in the law. Now, many people try to fake this feeling. They repeat affirmations while their heart is pounding in worry. But this isn't about pretending. It's about remembering. You are already everything you desire to be. You're not creating something new. You're uncovering what was always there. So how do you begin practicing these emotions? You start with the simplest tool of all, stillness. In the quiet, imagine what a typical day would feel like. Not look like, but feel like. If you were already living as a millionaire. Not the drama, not the red carpets or flashing lights, but the feeling of knowing you're safe, supported, free. Let that become your emotional home. Sit with it. Don't force it. Let it rise slowly. Let your nervous system adjust. You'll notice how the body begins to relax. The chest opens, the jaw softens. You breathe slower. That's your signal. That's your bridge. Then comes the self-talk. Because no emotional blueprint is complete without the thoughts that guide it. Ask yourself, how does a millionaire speak to themselves inside their own mind? Do they say, I hope this works? No. They say, it's already done. Do they say, I'm not sure if I can afford it? They say, I choose what I value. They don't fear bills. They don't curse the prices. They don't obsess over what's missing. They focus on what's arriving.
Neville taught that inner speech mirrors future action. What you whisper inside becomes the architecture of your life. Your inner voice is not background noise, it's the script. It's the seed.
So begin shifting your inner dialogue gently, but firmly. Use identity-based affirmations, not hollow wishes. Say things like, I'm the kind of person who always finds opportunity. Money comes to me with ease because I'm aligned with abundance. I trust the flow of life and the abundance it brings. I feel supported by the unseen forces of creation. Speak these phrases, not as commands, but as confirmations. You're not trying to convince the world. You're reminding yourself who you are. And yes, there will be days when the old self tries to return. It will say, who are you to feel rich when nothing has changed? It will pull up your past, point to the evidence, try to shame you back into smallness. But remember Neville's words. You must die to the old man. That version of you is no longer in charge. You are not obligated to think the same thoughts you did yesterday. You are free and you are powerful. The more you inhabit the feelings of abundance, the easier it becomes. What once felt like fantasy becomes normal. What once felt like pretending becomes second nature. Start your mornings with gratitude, not for what's coming, but for what already is. Walk through your day with the quiet assurance, that you are living a life of meaning, movement, and material ease. End your nights in a state akin to sleep, reliving the emotions of already having what you desire. This is how the emotional blueprint is built. Not with force, but with feeling. Your outer world will catch up, not because you're lucky, not because something external changed first, but because you finally aligned your identity, your emotions, and your inner voice with the truth. You already are what you seek. And as Neville taught us, once the inner world accepts something as real, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Wealth does not begin with numbers in a bank account. It begins in the mind. It begins in the feeling. The shift starts quietly, almost invisibly, long before the world brings you riches. It brings you signals, small whispers that tell you something has already changed. You don't wait for the money to show up. You feel the change inside, and then the outer world catches up. This is the law. This is how manifestation unfolds, not by force, but by reflection. The world reflects the state you dwell in. You may not see money tomorrow. You may not land the perfect opportunity next week, but you will feel something new, a soft but powerful sense of knowing, less fear, less noise, more calm, more confidence. And that is wealth. That is how you know the inner shift is happening. It might come as a strange peace when a bill arrives and you don't panic. It might come as a sudden impulse to check something, go somewhere, call someone, and it leads to exactly what you needed. It might come as a deep exhale after months of tension, and you realize you trust life now. These are the signs, not fireworks, not gold bars on your doorstep. Not yet. But these quiet changes, these are the real indicators that the bridge of events is forming. Neville called it the bridge of incident. And once that bridge begins to build, the journey toward the fulfilled desire has already begun. You start to notice things, subtle shifts in how you react to the world. You see someone in a luxury car and feel happy for them instead of jealous. That's wealth. You browse an expensive store, not to torture yourself, but because you belong there. That's wealth. You hear someone talk about money, and you no longer feel inferior. You smile. You feel included. That's wealth. When the inner world changes, the outer world starts rearranging itself slowly, precisely, quietly. You may overhear a conversation that gives you an idea. You may stumble across a book that confirms what you've been feeling. A person from the past might show up with an offer, or you simply wake up with clarity and make a decision that opens a new door. None of these are random. These are signs, markers along the bridge. Neville always reminded us that we attract what we are, not what we want. And as your being shifts into the state of wealth, your world begins to mirror that. You stop obsessing, you stop chasing, you feel like you already have it, and the world begins to deliver more of that feeling in form. Another sign, gratitude, not just the kind where you list things, but spontaneous, real gratitude for small things. You're grateful for the coffee in your hand. You're grateful for the sunlight on your skin. You're grateful for time alone, for the chance to imagine, for the ability to feel rich inside before the world has caught on. That's inner wealth. When your mind starts to make decisions based on where you're going, not where you are, that's a shift. When you no longer need to prove your worth or explain your dreams, that's a shift. When you walk through the same streets but feel completely different, that's a shift. Do not dismiss these things. They are the real indicators that the seed has taken root. Neville said, imagination is the only reality. So when you can imagine wealth and actually feel it, not as fantasy, but as truth, you are already wealthy in the dimension that creates everything else. You start thinking in terms of investment instead of cost. You see time as valuable, and you protect it. You no longer feel desperate. You feel magnetic. You no longer ask, How will it come? You trust that it is already on its way. And that trust, calm, consistent, strong, is one of the biggest signs of all. Trust is wealth. Some people wait their whole lives to feel it. But you can choose it now. You can live from the end. You can be the person who already has the money, already has the freedom, already has the peace. And the moment you persist in that state, the outer world begins to take shape. Money will come, not because you forced it, not because you repeated words mindlessly, but because you became the version of you who lives in wealth, not visits it occasionally, not dreams of it when times are hard, but lives in it emotionally and mentally every day. And so the signs come. A friend offers help, an unexpected payment clears, a stranger says something that inspires you. You get a sudden idea at 2 a.m. that turns into something bigger. You feel energized when you wake up without a reason. You feel excited about life. You feel ready. That's the shift. That's how it begins. So don't ask, where is the money? Ask, who have I become? Because when you become the wealthy self on the inside, life has no choice but to reflect that identity on the outside. The bridge is forming. And every small sign along the way is confirmation that it's working. Trust it, walk it, live it. Every state has a rhythm, a pattern, a way it speaks and moves. To live in the state of wealth, you must make its language your own. Not once, not just in moments of hope, but daily, gently, with devotion. Because identity is not built in a flash. It is shaped in the small, repeated acts you do, without applause. What you do again and again becomes who you are. One of the most powerful ways to anchor the state of wealth is through journaling, but not the kind that lists problems. This is a higher journaling, a sacred one. You sit with pen and paper, you breathe slowly, and you write as if you already are the one you desire to be. Not someday, not if everything goes right, but now. You begin. I am so thankful I'm financially free. You write, it feels natural to wake up and know all my needs are met. You write as if life has already shifted, as if wealth surrounds you. This is not pretending. This is assuming. You are assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the law in motion. Do it in the morning. Do it at night. Even a few lines will move mountains if they are felt. Do not wait to feel perfect. Just begin. Each sentence is a brick, and day by day, you build the mansion of your new state. Then there is mirror work. It may seem simple, too simple, but this is where power hides. Stand before the mirror, look into your eyes, and speak to yourself like the wealthy version would. Say, I am abundant. Say, wealth flows to me because I'm aligned with it. Say, I no longer worry about money. I walk in trust. Your subconscious listens. It hears not only words, but energy, the tone, the posture, the eyes. Mirror work teaches your body and mind to believe what the soul already knows. Do not judge how you feel in the beginning. You may laugh. You may feel awkward. You may doubt. That's okay. Keep going, because identity is formed by repetition, not force, not pressure, but steady, loving repetition. Another beautiful practice is scripting. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a scene, a moment in your wealthy life. Not the entire future, just a glimpse. Maybe it's sitting in your dream home. Maybe it's handing a check to someone you care about. Maybe it's booking a trip freely, joyfully. Make the scene short. Make it specific. And now write it as a story in past tense. Today was perfect. I walked through my home and smiled at how far I've come. The freedom I feel is beyond words. Scripting is planting seeds. Each story you write impresses the subconscious with an image, and the subconscious, with time, must bring it to life. Make it vivid. Feel it as you write. Not long essays, just real emotion. One page, one paragraph, enough to capture the mood of the life you now claim. And then there is gratitude, but not the shallow kind, not just listing things to appear positive. This is about morning gratitude, conscious, specific, wealth centered gratitude. You wake up, you place a hand on your heart, and you thank life for your abundance. Thank you for the food in my home. Thank you for the freedom to create. Thank you for the money that's always circulating. Even if the numbers haven't changed, gratitude is claiming the truth before the world agrees. Gratitude tunes your energy. It opens your mind to what's already working. And in that openness, more is given. Do these things daily, not because it's a rule, but because every day the world tries to pull you back to the old state, the state of lack, the state of fear. These practices are how you return to your true self, again and again, with grace. You do not need to force emotion. Let the feeling come naturally. And if it doesn't come, do the practice anyway. Why? Because identity is formed not by intensity, but by consistency. Even the smallest drop, repeated, can carve through stone. Neville said, persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. These practices are how you persist, not by willpower, but by design. You are designing a new normal. You are normalizing wealth in your nervous system, in your imagination, in your speech, in your emotions. And soon, something will shift. You'll notice the thoughts of lack appear less often. The worry will fade. You'll wake up and feel neutral, peaceful, not because money has arrived, but because wealth is no longer a question. It is who you are. Your conversations will change. Your language will evolve. You'll stop talking about what you can't afford. You'll stop repeating the past. You'll begin imagining solutions instead of problems. You'll feel joy for others' success. And slowly, quietly, life will begin to mirror the inner change. This is the secret. You don't become wealthy by fighting the current reality. You become wealthy by living daily in the frequency of already having. These small practices, journaling, mirror work, scripting, morning gratitude, they're not tasks, they're reminders. Each one whispers, you are already who you seek to be. And the more you anchor the feeling, the less effort you need. It becomes natural, automatic. Your mind begins to assume wealth without prompting. Your body begins to relax in abundance without proof. That's when the outer changes start to arrive. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always faithfully. Trust the power of simple repetition. One sentence written with belief is stronger than 1,000 spoken without feeling. One mirror session with presence is more powerful than years of struggle. One moment of true gratitude shifts more than a month of complaining. This is how identity is wired in. Not by pressure, but by presence. Not by pushing harder, but by returning daily to the state you choose. So, begin today. Open your journal. Write as if. Stand in front of the mirror. Speak from the future you. Close your eyes and script your wealthy life. Wake up and thank life for all it has already given. Not to get something, but because you already are it. That's the real work. That's the daily practice of the wealthy mind. In the end, wealth is not just about the money, it's about the state of being that comes with it. The way you feel, think, and live in the moment. These daily practices aren't just rituals, they are the foundations of your new life. They help you align with the frequency of abundance and make it your natural state. The journey isn't about waiting for something external to change. It's about becoming the person who already has what they desire. By journaling, practicing mirror work, scripting, and embracing gratitude, you are shaping the reality you wish to experience. The more you embody the feeling of wealth, the more your outer world will reflect it. Trust in the process. Trust that every small step you take is leading you to a life of true abundance. The signs will become clearer, the shift will become undeniable, and the wealth you feel inside will eventually manifest in your world. Remember, you are not seeking something you don't already have. You are simply becoming the person who naturally lives in wealth. And as you do, the world will catch up to you. So keep going, stay consistent, Persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, and know that with every practice, with every shift in thought and feeling, you are already becoming the wealthy version of yourself. Now go forward with confidence, knowing that the life you desire is already on its way. Your internal wealth is the foundation of everything you'll ever need.